Hello, everybody. Welcome to WP Roundtable. We've got another great guest on tonight that's going to bring a lot of really cool design and development tips for you, I believe, and we're really looking forward to talking to her. My name is Jason Crawford, coming to you from Medellin, Colombia, and Kyle.
Hey guys, I'm Kyle. I do WordPress stuff, and really happy to be here for episode 70. Holy moly, isn't that cool? 70 episodes. We've been doing this a while, Jason. We got a really cool guest on the show today, someone that had the privilege of meeting some point last year, and I was really impressed with the talk that she gave, and you know, a lot of the stuff that she does is super, super cool. So we're thrilled to have Tracy Apps on the show with us. And Tracy, do you mind kind of just like introducing yourself real quick?
Not a problem. Hey guys. My name's Tracy Apps, and my last name really is Apps. I get that asked a lot. And I do WordPress design development. My degree is actually in art, so I'm definitely focused a lot on the design aspect of things, but have been self-taught in development for quite a while. So.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us, Tracy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump in. You know, before we learn more about you, we've got a lot of questions for you. But the first thing we're going to do is jump into our quick picks of the week. This is where we share something interesting that we all want to share with the world that's tuning in to our show. So my quick pick of the week is an article I came across from Kinsta. It's on kinsta.com. They're a hosting provider. But they wrote a great article about getting ready for PHP 7, which is kind of like this sweet thing that's coming and will make the internet a better place and break a couple things that are silly that we don't care about, but introduce a lot of cool new stuff. So it's kind of like a really comprehensive guide. I'll drop a link on the event, but it's on the Kinsta blog, and I recommend that anybody doing anything with like WordPress and PHP applications kind of like just take a look at it just to see what's coming.
All right, so my pick of the week is HTML5 Flip. I'm sorry, let me make sure I get that right. Flip HTML5, and it's basically a brochure type layout for your PDF documents and your other, well, whatever documents you've got for your website. So it looks really cool. You can build out really cool brochure-like stuff and put it on your website. So I haven't tested this, and as much as this is my pick of the week, I'm actually looking for feedback from anybody who has tested it. So if you've tested it, give us some feedback on that, because I just came across it. I've got a friend who's testing it out right now, wants to know it, but so I'm going to be testing it out as well, and I'd like to hear what everybody else has done with it.
Tracy, do you have something to share?
I do. It's not something new. However, my favorite service for development, at least for deploying, is Deploy HQ, and they just released a big UI update within their service. So it's just really nice and clean, and I just really am impressed with that. So that's kind of one of my favorite things. And I just update and merge all of my commits on GitHub, and it automatically deploys because I host with with Flywheel, which does not have the ability to link into GitHub and repositories directly, so it needs Deploy HQ, which just saves me so much time. So it saves all my auto deploys all of my updates and such to my sites. Pretty nice.
That's pretty cool. I was actually just looking into that today, and there's a lot of options out there for deployment straight from GitHub, and I was trying to, you know, kind of do an analysis and see what which would be the best way to go. And so I've heard a lot of good things about Deploy HQ.
Yeah, I've been really happy, and I am, because I'm a designer, the design of things and logos and all that stuff really actually matters a lot in the services I provide or that I choose, and their layout was nice, and now it's even nicer. So I'm glad. I will throw my money at them.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for the recommendation. So that out of the way, let's talk about you, Tracy. We've got a lot of questions, so let's start from the beginning. Going way back, when you were a kid, what kind of things did you want to do when you grew up?
Not even kidding. I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. I mean, yeah, exactly. It was very specific. I was like, I'm going to be a mechanical engineer. And then when I actually went into college, I somehow, I don't know why, I chose computer engineering for my first year of college, and then engineering, and then art. So it made perfect sense somehow.
Oh, so basically what we all do, yeah.
You know, yeah.
It's just the cliche path. That's really interesting. What at a young age you were thinking of a career path that most of us didn't even know was a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, everyone's like doctor, firefighter. I was like mechanical engineer. Everyone's like, it's a strange child, but yes, I was. I would always like take things apart and try to put them back together, and I just loved seeing how things worked. So it makes sense that I'd like web design and development, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
So you went to college. You studied a couple different things. When you left college, how did your career unfold?
Well, the funny part is that because I really did. I didn't know that you could get just a BA art. Like you couldn't, like no specialty, and I did do that. So because I did spend a couple of years in the graphic design department, but I didn't actually finish up with a graphic design degree. However, back in 2000, I started doing client work when I was still in college, and that some of those clients from back in 2000, 2001 are still my clients today. So that ended up really driving how I wanted to become a web designer developer, because when I was actually in my graphic design classes, I was so discouraged because I was never good at like a specialty. I was like, I like this thing, and I like this thing, and then I like photography, and then there's this thing over here. It was always, I seem like, but how can you specialize in just this one thing? These, honing in on these things and these things, they all help the other, because now I know like user experience, so like that can help the development, and that can help this and all these other pieces. But in college, that wasn't. It wasn't rewarded like it was. So it really was by starting in client work while I was in college that helped kind of foster that, hey, no, actually people really do benefit from this. And then, I did some full-time jobs, but all the time I was always doing kind of freelance work. So then when the time came, starting my own company, it was just a matter of jumping into that full-time.
That's great. Would you be willing to tell us, maybe not specifics, but about your clients that you were working with and while you were still in school?
Yeah, absolutely. It was always, because I was in college, it was all different groups that I was involved with. So different organizations, and actually I was involved with the campus, or 2 different campus ministries on campus. And so there, they networked with a bunch of the different area churches. So a lot of my first clients were churches because, churches with limited budgets and a college student that'll work for $50, like perfect match made in heaven, literally. And so, but it was great. Like one of the campus pastors, she was connected with a whole bunch of the different churches around there. So I got like, she was like my agent pretty much. She pretty much like talked me up with all of these different organizations and groups and churches that she worked with, and then I got probably like 7 or 8 clients from her talking to other people. So wow. Yeah, it was really great, and just being involved in different organizations around in college and sororities and fraternities and such, like all of those, just throw together a website, got great experience, and always lead it to a different connection somehow.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any kind of like nightmare projects from back then that you just look back on?
Oh yeah,
Or
absolutely. I mean, I learn from everything, obviously, but some of the projects where people would try to talk down on price or get a bigger discount or doing something for free, or one of those, like some of those projects that were, oh, we just have some small updates to our website. We want to use this template and just modify it a little. It never was the case, and it always ended up being more time than than if I would have just hand-coded a new, custom theme. Because there's some pretty duct tape and chewing gum coated websites out there to try to theme child theme-ish that is like pulling teeth. I'd rather poke my eye out with a rusty nail, but whatever. But they're like, no, we want to use this, and then we want to change all these things, and I'm like, no. So definitely a lot of those in the past were really good learning experiences.
Before we went live, we were talking, Kyle was telling us some of his horror stories, and I was discussing my clients with the flashing menu items. Do you have any of those that you actually did that you look back on now and you're like, I can't believe I did that?
I did a lot of these on my personal websites. I had like 3 or 4 Angel Fire sites, which I used as a playing ground. So like, oh, you can, with this JavaScript snippet, you can ask the person's name, and it puts it there on the website when they log and they visit it. And I did a lot of those things on my personal sites. With my client sites, I guess back in the day, especially just kind of, but this was like, it was the standard of doing table design, because that was the most efficient way of doing these things, because no one knew about CSS and what that was. So those are the kinds of things I look back and I was like, oh, okay, that was a good growing edge. But luckily, I've been, especially working on my own and my own clients, I've been able to kind of talk people out of the oh, I want this shiny blinky thing. Most of the time, at least, I can say, okay, that's wonderful. Well, let's look over here and kind of handhold and guide them to a better solution, just by framing it in ways of, for your client and for your purpose and for whatever, your bottom line, that really kind of helps shift the focus away from this shiny thing. So I don't have a lot of examples of that, especially in the past, 5-10 years. But I'm sure way back in the day, I would like, oh yeah, a blinking marquee, absolutely.
I think we've all done something like that.
Because obviously, if the information is that important, that you only want the viewer to see it like 1/3 of the time.
Yeah.
This is really important. Oh man, I missed it again. Like.
Oh no! Fantastic. I clicked on the wrong one. I'm lost. Yeah. What's the thing? Internet. It's weird.
So you get out of college, and you said you took on some jobs, regular jobs. You want to tell us about that a little bit?
Yeah. So I've worked in pretty much every situation for a designer / front-end developer. I mean, I've been an in-house designer, my first full-time job. Can't remember what my official title was, but I basically was doing the graphic design, web development, so you can do this website, and then everything else, like tech support on Macs, because I used Apple computers. And then, because apparently 3 jobs was just not enough, I decided to also come up with a way, or actually go to these different events that it was like a bookstore chain, go to these events and take photography and to be able to like put them up on the website and tell the story visually, as well as came up with a solution for podcasting these events using old refurbished and kind of jailbroken, but that wasn't the term. iPods, like the second generation ones, something like that. Like there was a way that you could use them to record through the headphone jack. So like all this crazy stuff. So you hooked it up into the sound system. I figured out a way to record it, and then you could use those MP3s to like all sorts of stuff. Because of course, 3 or 4 different things at the same time was not enough. But so I did kind of the in-house thing. I worked in an agency setting. And then just kind of then doing my own thing as well. So
how about platforms? You've used a variety of things in the past. Like, what did you use before, and are you just WordPress now? And when did you get into WordPress?
Well, I always joke that I've been using WordPress before it was WordPress, but it's kind of true. My first blog was on B2, and so I started working on WordPress, and then I did stray away, and I especially during like the 2002, 3, 4 years, I think I used like Movable Type and LiveJournal and those a little bit, but then ended up kind of coming back to WordPress primarily full time for pretty much everything around 2004 or 5, I want to say, and with full-time jobs, I'd done things like .NET, ASP stuff, and I want to doing things with more like struggling with, I guess, like wrestling with. I have also wrestled and battled to the death with Drupal, which I have blocked that part out of my memory, so that's okay. But yeah, for the most part, it's been WordPress for me because it allows me to really, because I'm an artist, I'm a designer. I've been self-taught with web development when I decided in 1996. I was like, hey, I want a website. I bought an HTML book and started, teaching myself how to code in HTML. So, but still with the back-end stuff, WordPress allows me to really kind of fake that back-end development because I can just manipulate it to do all these different things that I want it to do, and it's much easier that way.
So, if you were given a time machine, what would you do with it?
Well, obviously, I would take my sonic screwdriver and, be on my way. I don't know. I would go all over the place.
All right. With respect to your career specifically, anything that you would do?
Yeah, I don't know, because for me, I feel like self-employment and even just, WordPress or anything related to technology is such an adventure in itself because who knows what, cool thing comes out or, tomorrow. So I don't know, jumping ahead, I feel like I'd miss too much. I'm glad I started, HTML coding back in the 90s because otherwise I'd be completely lost. And now I just to see that, it just feels like, it's been many, many, many years, but in real life years as opposed to internet years, I should say.
So let's take your sonic screwdriver here and predict the future. What are you going to be looking back at in 10 years and saying, I can't believe that we were doing this or I was doing this, designing this?
I think pretty much everything, probably. But no, one of the things that I've really been thinking a lot about is that I just think we're just scratching the surface, and I think we have a long ways to go with mobile navigation on mobile and just how do we interact with things on smaller and smaller devices? Because we're applying the same kind of the same process and same design things that we use on desktop computers on mobile devices, and that's just not working. So I'm actually really excited about this because I love getting my hands dirty with tough, creative problems that seem like they have no answer, which that's just like, okay, let's do this. So that's one of the things that I think that we'll look back and say like, oh, I can't believe we did that. But it'll be exciting.
So what you're saying is we're going to bring back the Power Glove and connect it to the phones.
Yes, I totally should have brought my Power Glove to the office. I totally have one. I have absolutely worn it at parties too, because why not?
Oh, okay, that was meant to be a joke. Okay.
Yes, we don't joke when it comes to the Power Glove.
No, we don't, obviously.
It's a very serious business.
All right, so speaking of business, let's get into the nuts and bolts of your business.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. What's it called? What's it do? What do you do for it?
Well, I was really creative when I came up with the name for my company, because my name is Tracy Apps. So I just added design to the end of it, and that's what it is, Tracy Apps Design. I like the short answer of what we provide is anything that, you know, let's see, I actually kind of wrote this out because I was trying to figure out wherever, like whatever creative services that are needed to solve a problem. Because I really because I never did have like a focus, it seems kind of silly to even like focus on, oh, well, this is, we provide this service. I mean, yes, we do web development and design and photography, video storytelling, consulting, helping companies and organizations figure out like a communication strategy, even training and speaking. I do all those kinds of things. But pretty much it is like anything that can solve a marketing or a communication problem that an organization has. All right, let's just see what kind of paintbrushes that we have. You know, WordPress. That's one of my favorite ones, favorite tools to always use. And now with WordPress and the API, like, oh, now it's a whole other realm to be able to solve mobile and app, you know, problems and issues and shortcomings and stuff. So it's kind of look at it that way, because I never was able to really focus on things. And so photography, I love being able to figure out new ways of telling stories instead of with words, because I don't read websites. I'll admit, if you have more than like a bullet list, I'm sure I haven't read it. But if you give me a video and present your story of your organization, okay, you got me. Now I'm listening. So I try to do that for clients myself.
And are you a one-person show?
I am. There you go. Yes, I am. I am myself. I've done work with other people. I've done outsourced with other companies and such. I have outsourced to other companies. But I really like the flexibility of just being independent and to be able to draw in. I mean, because the WordPress community, especially, is just so wonderful. Like, there's so much networking and such. So I can easily find, if I ever find a shortcoming on something that I can't do myself, I easily can find a group of people that I can partner with. So both locally and globally. So so I've actually really enjoyed being just kind of independent and then partnering with other organizations and other groups and other companies and such here and there. But yeah, it's nice.
So can you describe like your perfect client for us at this point?
Oh, yes. My perfect client, they'll have some sort of creative problem that needs to be solved. Okay? They will know that they have this problem that needs to be solved. They don't know what is the solution for the problem, and they know they don't know what is the solution to the problem. Perfect client. And especially when they're like, oh, I don't know what it is, and I feel like I should, and they're like, nope, I'll stop you there. That's my job. Like, that's where I come in, so you don't have to worry about it. You just tell me what, these things. Tell me about your culture. Tell me about your company's, services, all this other stuff. Tell me about the history. Everything else, leave it to me. And those are my favorite clients because those projects really, you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's more of a partnership as opposed to, okay, I'm just hiring you for this and whatever.
Now, I've got to ask, because I've heard you bring it up on WordCamp speeches. Do they get a discount if they wear a bow tie?
If they provide bow ties to me, then maybe that will be, because I work for a lot of things. Copious amounts of meat and paleo food is one of them. Bow ties would be another.
Awesome. So we need to get a bow tie business into your portfolio if you don't have one.
Yeah, I'm absolutely game for that. And actually, one of my friends is she's starting to I think sew her own bow ties, and she was like, "Would you model bow ties for me? I'll pay in bow ties." And I was like, "You had me at bow tie, yes, absolutely."
That's great. So, can you talk about some of the highs and lows, goods and bads, exciting and not so exciting aspects of your day-to-day?
Well, my highlight is always just I absolutely love kind of the running my own company. And not the running my own company part of it, because actually that's my low, is the actual business part of running a business, because I'm like, I'm a creative. I want to create. So that kind of stuff always kind of wears me out. But the freedom to be able to work when I have the inspiration, that's key for me. And the freedom to be able to work from anywhere. I love traveling, and I have friends all over the place, so 2 years ago, I was like, I'm going to go work from Denmark for a month. And there was nothing that was stopping me because I work on the internet, so I can work anywhere where there's internet. So that was very handy. So I was like, I'm just working from my friend's couch, and she has internet. Done. This is my office. This is my Denmark office. And so I loved that. And another thing that just, especially coming from with experience of working kind of in an agency setting where I just was kind of just one of many, and there was a project manager that was the only one that was talking to the client, and they were selling things, and they didn't necessarily know what we were doing or what the capabilities of what we were doing entailed. But I'd say, nope, that's not possible, or that's not a good idea, and they'd be like, oh, I don't care. But no, we're the expert here. Listen to me. I actually know what I'm talking about. Being a part of my own company, people are like, oh yeah, absolutely. You're right. You're absolutely right. And I was like, I know I'm right. This is what I do. This is my world.
Yeah. Oh, you're so right. Awesome. So, what kind of clients are you working with today? You talked about some of your early on clients, but what are some of the organizations that you're serving now?
Yeah, it's such a wide range. I still have a lot, different churches and organizations and nonprofits, but when working on some larger projects with different universities around here, actually was working on completely revamping and actually branding this whole it was like a career pathfinder interactive web app, really kind of fun projects to be able to okay, here's just a ton of data. Now how are we going to have the user consume this in a way that doesn't make their head explode? Yes, let's do this. I have a blackboard, or whiteboard here, I just drew all sorts of crazy stuff. So that was a really fun one. Just finished up another project in partnership with Pixel Jar out in West Coast, yeah, West Coast. So yeah, really, really fun partnering with people on larger projects like that. Like again, like apps that do things, and really, really kind of fun stuff like that.
Wow.
If you ever decide, I don't know if you speak Spanish or if you ever intend to, but if you ever decide you want to learn, I've got a program where they've actually got a video, and if it becomes too difficult, and they expect it to be difficult, the guy's head will explode.
Awesome! I totally want to know. I totally need this. Because I've been trying to learn Spanish, like about, I think, I've tried probably about a half a dozen times. And I get to a point where I'm like, yes, I understand. And then my head explodes. It's exactly what that happens.
I'll have to send you the link to this to these videos.
I hate when that happens, though, too. It's just such a bad cleanup.
You mean that's not included in the cleaning staff?
I don't know. I should ask.
So where do you see the business going in the short and long-term future here?
That's a really good question. I don't know, because it really does feel like an adventure all the time. I do hope. I really like partnering with other groups and such, and working with other organizations and other developers, because I am a front end and not a back end developer, and so I really I'm always inspired working with like back end developers, because like I be like, okay, here's a crazy thing. Can you do this? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, wonderful, I'm going to make it crazier. Just because, there's too much free time, come on. But no, I just love that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping that working on larger projects, and that's kind of been my trend, is, I came from very, like, more simple, like, website-based projects, and going into more of, like, platform and web/mobile app development and that kind of stuff. So working on more projects like that is exciting to me in the future.
That's pretty cool. So you are based in Milwaukee and somewhat involved in the community there?
Yeah. It definitely it comes and goes, because obviously with the ebb and flow of business, but we have a really great and strong community, WordPress community here in Milwaukee. So I'm very thankful to be a part of that, because just some brilliant people here, which is really neat. Because you don't think of Milwaukee as being a tech hub and cultural center of the U.S., but it is. We're just really humble about it.
Yeah. Well, I was just there, and I think there is a pretty cool community in Milwaukee. It's a pretty neat place. You attend your share of WordCamps, I take it. What was the first WordCamp you ever went to?
The first WordCamp I went to was WordCamp Milwaukee. It was actually the first one I spoke at, too. I was like in, I think, 2012. I think that's the one it was. So, but yeah, it was Milwaukee. It was really cool. And the funny story about that was that my talk was right next door at the same time as Lisa Saban Wilson. So I just tried to make my my group laugh a lot so that it interrupted her session. We did. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, good job.
Because how do you compete with Lisa Saban Wilson, really?
I don't know. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Crazy. So, have you been to other camps that might be worth mentioning or recommending?
Well, I mean, it's a really, I mean, it's hard to to go to. Convince yourself to go to Maui, but that one was a really amazing WordCamp, which was like Maui in February. I mean, poor me. It was really rough. And the funny
Oh.
part was that everyone there was kept up, like all the people that were residents of Maui, they were like, "Oh, I'm so sorry for the weather. The weather's not better," because like it rained about 1.5 days the whole time I was there, and I was like, "Listen, people are posting pictures of the weather back home, and it's -40. So I will take some rain anytime. I just might miss my flight home, so that's fine." But yeah, I mean, it was gorgeous, and it, they had tried to, I guess they had tried to put that WordCamp together years ago, and then this was the first year they did it, and it was just awesome. I mean, it was just killer speakers and really great community that really turned up for that. So I'll twist your arm to go to Maui.
Oh man.
It's going to be a tough sell.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a good job of that. Let me tell you. So, are there other non-WordCamp events that you attend?
I do. I actually went to LoopConf, the first WordPress more development-focused conference in Vegas this year, and that was really wonderful because the conference that I like going to have that same kind of culture of the camp culture, I guess you could call it. If there's a conference where it's like, listen to me, I will reign supreme over my giant ballroom, and I will impart my knowledge to you, and there is no shared, like there's no like shared knowledge or any of that kind of like hallway sessions. People just like talk and collaborate and that kind of stuff. Those conferences that don't have that, like I have no interest in going to those. I become the bitter, jaded, conference goer that I'm like, get off my lawn. But all of the ones that are more of like that, like community focused, that kind of stuff, those are the ones I really like. Whether they're in technology or communication or something like that, those are the ones I really gain the most out of, because always, hands down, the best part of all of these like WordCamps is the hallway sessions. The lunchtime conversations. Like at LoopConf, the same time that the WordPress conference was going on was an Angular conference going on, and our table was literally half WordPress people and half Angular people, and we just had the most wonderful and useful discussion on what each group does and what they focus on, and like it's just really wonderful. It's like a great way of learning things and expanding your horizons. So,
what was your takeaway from that then? Anything good?
What was that?
What was your takeaway from the Angular people? Anything good?
Well, honestly, I kept thinking, especially with the API, coming soon, there's going to be so much more overlap. And Angular, I did work with a team on a whole web-based application all in Angular a couple years back now, and like it was pretty impressive, like the stuff that can do, and to be able to tap into the benefits of Angular with WordPress, like next to the world, we will conquer it, Like I just was thinking, this is really great. Like, this is just such a perfect time for this kind of connection to happen.
Awesome. When are you going to do a blog post on that so I can read it?
Oh, when I actually sit down and, fire up my blog again. Actually, I did start writing recently, but it's, again, like I'm like, I don't think in words a lot. So like, I talk with my hands a lot. Interpretive dance. I will do a blog post in interpretive dance for you one time. But no, I bought successfully.fail just so that I could start up blogging again. So I have been, and then I figured if I successfully fail at blogging, at least it's partly in the name, so it's kind of like, it's a branding thing.
Yeah. I didn't even realize .fail was
Yes, it is. So is .cool. So I have not that .cool.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I recently bought a .ninja, but I'm not going to tell anybody what I bought. We'll wait until that's live, ready to go.
Nice.
It's pretty great. So, what's on your calendar, Tracy, for the future?
Like WordCamp related?
Just any old event. Where might you be physically present?
That's a good question. I'm open for suggestions. If anyone wants to message me, just tweet me at Taps, because I love traveling. I was thinking about popping into WordCamp Toronto because I like Toronto. So we'll see. I'll probably end up just randomly signing up for another one at some point. I mean, that's kind of how Maui happened. I couldn't sleep, and so I was checking my RSS feeds from my phone in bed, and I was like, oh, they're call for speakers, and I just kind of, this is what I do when I can't sleep. I sign up to be a speaker, and I was like, well, now I guess I got to get to Maui. So that's kind of how that unraveled. So maybe something like that'll happen. We'll see.
And are you involved in any other way other than the WordCamps in the community? Do you do meetups or anything else?
I've done a couple of the meetups. I absolutely want to get more involved with the community. And in the past couple of years, actually, I've really been seeing a lot more and getting involved a lot more. So, and I love kind of maybe lurking, I guess is the best word, in the Slack community with WordPress, because it's just, it's just fun. I feel a little creepy at sometimes because I'm like, oh, what's next? Okay, cool, But yeah, that's definitely something that I want to get more active in, and have been getting slowly more active in. But yeah, it's a really exciting time, I think so.
Awesome. So is there anything else you're kind of passionate about that we haven't discussed, maybe side projects, activities?
Well, funny you should ask, because I do CrossFit, and I mean, is that a record of not mentioning CrossFit for 45 minutes?
Yeah. Well, you almost made it. It's 43 minutes.
43 minutes. Okay, so mark that down. I want to see someone beat that. But yeah, no, I love lifting heavy stuff. A lot of times. It's a lot of fun to me. And it's a good party trick too. It's like, oh, how much do you weigh? Oh, I could deadlift you. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, don't come try to deadlift me. I'm a member of the fried chicken community.
I could deadlift you, I'm sure.
Excellent. So what do you? Go ahead. So what else how else are you involved in that? I mean, other than just going and doing your thing a few times a week.
Yeah, I do. I do that 3 to 5 times a week. But what's really cool about with CrossFit in Milwaukee, where I go, or Glendale, is that it's also kind of the social circle. So Friday after lifting heavy shit repeatedly, then my trainer is from. She's from Colombia, so tequila is like water to her. So it's she wants to give everyone a shot of tequila afterwards. So we stay at the gym and drink. So it's fun. We go and dance. I love going out and dancing, and so it's also we all go dancing and a lot of fun stuff. There's this one dance club that has a cage, but the floor ends up being right by the dance floor, where you can actually reach it, and you can do pull-ups on it, because that's what you do when you go dancing, right?
I would rather do pull-ups than dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, I do gardening. I like to call it, I play in dirt. Some people call it gardening. And do stuff like that, because I own a house in Brown Deer, enough land to be able to have a garden. So right now I have squash for days. So if anyone comes over, you're going to eat squash. Yeah, good stuff like that.
Sounds pretty good. So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
You're talking to people not in your field. You're just like, oh yeah, I do this WordPress stuff. It's got this. There's this cool community, and you try to describe this community to people. How do you describe it?
I actually describe it as super large yet super small and tight knit, because there is such a wide user base that uses WordPress. So that's huge. Yet the core is very, like, you see the same names all the time, and you get to see them again when you go travel and get involved with different meetups and WordCamps, and like it ends up being actually kind of a small, close-knit family, and that to me is kind of like the most amazing thing, because it really is both so huge yet so so tight-knit. And the coolest part of that is that it actually is not hard to get involved and to kind of jump into that core. And I think, especially when I first was starting out and not necessarily getting as connected into that core or going to work camps and all that kind of thing, it seemed so far-fetched to, like, oh, the people that actually do the development of it and that kind of stuff. It seemed so far away, but it's so accessible and so easy to jump in. And like that is kind of amazing. It's open source and really is open source. Like all aspects of it. It's really cool.
That's a good description, I think, actually. I like the way you put that. So, do you have an all-time favorite feature that's built into WordPress?
I go back and forth, but I really think the whole like custom post type capabilities, all the custom stuff, is by far what I use the most, and is the most useful for all of my clients, because I'm very big on streamlining things and making it as easy and simple as possible for all my users, and I try to tap into whatever they're used to. So even just like being able to create those like custom areas that are exactly what they're thinking, like it's in the terminology that they use in their organization. All of those things like helps limit the that learning curve. So it's my favorite.
Good choice. Do you have an all-time favorite CSS property?
Well, actually, lately I've just been doing a lot with I do a lot with SAS and stuff. I think my latest, it's not even a CSS property, but this one grid system called Griddle, Gridle. It's for SAS, but like that's been my favorite lately. So I don't know if it loosely applies. Just the different capabilities of being able to either use like CSS classes of like, this is a grid on mobile is 12 columns versus on tablet it's 6 columns and all that kind of stuff, which you can do in Bootstrap and all that as well. But just the additional stuff like the hiding, the all sorts of like different mix-ins and such, it's cool. And their website's really, really great. I think they're right on their homepage it says what the fuck. And it's like, yes, absolutely. Like, why another grid system? Well, because this is kind of cool. So that's been it's been one of my favorites. So, yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to look that up because I've never heard of it.
Yeah, griddle.org is the website.
Ah. You said spell that Griddle?
No, not two D's. It's Gridle.
Okay, definitely was not the first thing that popped up on Google.
Yeah.
I see, and that's I think they're, I don't know how well known they are or how much like people use it. I'd be interested to know that because I don't remember how I found it. This is how it happens a lot of times. I just randomly find things and they look shiny and pretty, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this. But I've been really happy with it. So.
Did you come from like another CSS framework, or you're like a Bootstrap or Foundation person or something?
You know, I actually don't default to using those. I mean, I used Bootstrap for one of the web apps that I helped with development. However, like, I don't have a favorite really, and I actually, a lot of the times, a lot of my clients don't require something full blown like the whole system. Sometimes they just need this grid. So I think that's why I ended up using it at first, because I didn't need all of the buttons, and I didn't need all of the extra like JavaScript and all that stuff that a whole system worked with. I just needed this, and that worked out perfectly. So I don't necessarily have a favorite. I've been trying them all out with different projects. I'll admit, I like, oh, let's just try it, and that's how I learn it, is use it with a project and kind of bang my head against it for a month or so.
So I'm curious if there's anything you're kind of considering as a topic for a talk. The next time WordCamp crosses your path and you think, I'm going to apply, what talk might you throw in? Anything new?
I have one where I've done with like responsive, please design responsively, which I really like, because every time I do a talk, I actually do it differently. So, and sometimes like a couple slides are the same, but I change out almost half of it. But doing something more with mobile, doing something more maybe with SAS and these kind of different shortcut and tools and stuff, because that was really hard for me to jump into, especially being self-employed. Once I found like my system from way back when, which was like BB Edit and like Fetch, like really, like it really was, and like not being, in like GitHub world, and using Bootstrap or grid systems, any of that kind of stuff really was hard to get into when I was like neck deep in client work. So probably doing something like that to make that transition a little bit easier, because it's been so helpful now that I like, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and now like, oh, that button and it does all of these things. I would have saved so much time in the past, but I never had the time to actually learn to get to that point. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. So, do you have any like, recommendations? Maybe somebody that we haven't had already or not, but somebody that we should ask to be on the show in the future?
I actually thought of a couple people. Well, there's another Tracy who's a business owner who also wears bow ties. Her Twitter handle is, I think, Lil Jimmy, Tracy Levesque. Like, she, really cool developer, designer out of, she out of Pittsburgh? No. Philadelphia. She's out of Philadelphia. Yeah. That's right. John Hawkins, have you had him? Vegas Geek?
Oh, gotta have him on.
Yeah. Or Chris Coyer, my fellow Milwaukeean and designer.
Exactly. Yeah, well.
And of course, I mean, and Rachel Baker. Like, those are my my go-to people.
Awesome. Yeah, those are really good suggestions. So thank you for those. Let's see, Jason, did you have any other questions?
No, I don't think I've got anything else. If I can quit like sneezing and coughing here, I might participate a little bit.
No, it's been an awesome discussion, Tracy. Like, I learned a lot, and really appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us and share everything. I really hope to bump into you again at a WordCamp coming up here pretty soon. Maybe one that's late in October, just a little bit to the east of you, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, Yeah, that sounds good. I'm game.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. This was wonderful. It was great chatting with you guys.
So is there anything that we didn't ask that you wanted to talk about, or at least just let the audience know and share?
Well, you didn't ask what what I can deadlift.
I'm scared.
My official max is 295 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
And just to point this out, it's only been 13 minutes. That 43-minute record you had, it's still a record.
Yeah. You're welcome.
That's crazy. Man, that makes me feel bad. So, I guess things. But okay. Anything else that we didn't ask?
I think that's all.
Okay.
That's all anyone needs to know.
You don't happen to have ducks or chickens, do you?
No.
Okay.
Just
Sadly.
squash.
Just squash.
Just squash.
And cats?
I have a cat,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
a dog.
Oh, okay. You've been saved.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's been an awesome discussion, Tracy. Really, it's been a privilege to get to spend an hour this evening chatting with you. We'll catch up in person before too long.
Yeah.
And share some beer and squash. And
Oh, there's your next challenge, Kyle. Make squash beer.
is that a thing?
I don't know, but you've had
It is now. Someone
Okay.
buy the domain quickly.
Yeah.
If it's on the internet, it's true. I'm just saying.
I think you can do it, Kyle.
I have beersmores.com.
What?
You know, s'mores, but with beer. I mean, just think about it.
All right, I'm thinking about it.
It's the next thing.
And does it have any videos like how you do this and how they actually taste?
Well, I haven't transferred the site over, but some friends did actually do like field tests. One actually marinated the marshmallows in beer before roasting it. So there's different methods. I like to start the idea and let just people run with it. Just run, child, run with it, and so it's really up to your own interpretation on, what is a beer s'more.
All right, so
That's pretty awesome.
There you go. That's your homework.
One of our viewers has just pointed out that pumpkins are kind of like a squash, so you could say that the pumpkin beer qualifies as a squash beer.
This,
You know?
smart people.
Yeah.
Good
We
job.
have smart viewers. So thanks for chiming in, Topher. All right.
Love it.
So-
Awesome.
That pretty much concludes our discussion this evening. Thanks for tuning in to episode 70, and thanks for joining us, Tracy.
Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Trace.
Yep. Good night.
Thanks.